what are maybe one or two kind of do's and don'ts, if you will, for a manager who is sort of leading the young Gen Z? What should they do, not do when it comes to influencing? And then maybe we flip it also to the Gen Z, right? It isn't as much just all up the manager. What can they do and don't do, right? So maybe just some final tips of advice, call to action of the do's and don'ts on both sides.
Yeah, such a great question. I think you're exactly right. There's a lot of the workplace has a lot of misconceptions about people, right? It's easier, quote unquote, to put people into groups. Like there's the boomers and Gen X and Gen Z, and there are absolutely differences generationally. I don't want to submit for a moment that there aren't. I think if you're a manager, first off is try to check your bias at the door. Look at the people that you're privileged to be a manager or a leader of as individuals because they have different needs and wants, and they may be different than the things that you needed or wanted when you were, at that phase of your career. So, managers need to be aware of their biases and they also have to recognize that managers have a responsibility to develop talent, to build the skills and the capabilities of the people that work with them and for them. So that is really an individual activity. So I have to look at you as an individual if I really want to be effective and understand your unique capabilities and needs and the things that you want. And I think that's an important hallmark of every manager. So do take the time to get to know the people that work you. Don't put them in a bucket and say you're this kind of person because you fall into this. That's really it's not only unfair, it's probably quite inaccurate. So managers need to commit to developing the talent of the people that work with them, regardless of their age or gender or preferences of any sort, and where they come from. We have to sort of take one person as one person. On the flip side, for a younger generation, take the time to do the same, but recognize, your boss or bosses may want things that you're not necessarily accustomed to being asked. Try to understand what's important to them. What are some of the things that make this an essential thing for me to do? Try to meet your manager where he or she is. But then you can negotiate and you hit the nail on the head. You can negotiate on, hey, I understand we need to do this, but if we do this, can I do that? Try to demonstrate your willingness to support the people that you work for, but also, when you need something or want something, try to articulate that in a way that your manager will understand the why behind that message, like what's important about that particular ask to you, and try to come to a negotiated agreement. Remember, your boss, as I tell when I work with younger students, I say, look, your boss has lots of problems. So you've got to ask yourself when you're talking to your boss, you put yourself in one of two camps. Am I helping my boss solve her problems, or am I adding problems to the boss's plate? And I think that's a very simple way to think about, am I going to be the kind of person that helps take some of the pressure off my boss, or am I the kind of person that adds pressure to my boss? So think about that, and just be judicious in how you approach your boss with certain things. I wouldn't submit you should never subordinate your most important desires or needs in the workplace, but it's that melding of, what does the organization need me to do? What do I want, and where can we find that common ground?